Richard Beaumont, a 65-year-old wealthy businessman, marries the young and beautiful Emily, who is just 24. Emily moves into Richard's grand estate, a sprawling mansion filled with luxury and history. Richard, deeply enamored with his new bride, showers her with gifts, takes her on lavish trips around the world, and does everything in his power to make her happy. Yet, despite all this, Emily finds herself increasingly drawn to Richard's son, Lucas, a 30-year-old architect who lives in a separate wing of the estate. Lucas is a hard-working and ambitious man, deeply engrossed in his career. He is in a relationship with Sophie, a charming and intelligent woman who shares his passion for architecture. Their relationship is strong, built on mutual respect and shared dreams. As Richard and Emily return from yet another luxurious vacation, Emily finds herself unable to stop thinking about Lucas. She is captivated by his intellect, his dedication, and the quiet confidence with which he carries himself. Emily begins to orchestrate situations where she can be alone with Lucas, subtly flirting with him, hoping to catch his attention. Meanwhile, Lucas remains completely oblivious to Emily's growing obsession. His focus is entirely on his work and his relationship with Sophie. However, Emily's persistence begins to create tension between her and Lucas. She tries to engage him in deeper conversations, asks him to accompany her on errands, and even starts assisting him with his architectural projects under the guise of wanting to learn more about his work. Emily's subtle advances become more overt, but Lucas remains distant, his heart belonging to Sophie. Frustrated, Emily begins to manipulate situations to drive a wedge between Lucas and Sophie. She plants doubts in Lucas's mind, questioning Sophie's loyalty and suggesting that Sophie might be more interested in his wealth than in him as a person. At the same time, Emily draws closer to Richard, using their relationship to mask her true intentions. She becomes the perfect wife, making Richard believe she is utterly devoted to him, while in reality, her thoughts are consumed by Lucas. Emily's manipulations begin to take effect. Lucas, who has always implicitly trusted Sophie, starts to question her actions and motives. The arguments between them become more frequent, and the solid foundation of their relationship begins to crumble. Sophie, sensing the change in Lucas, becomes anxious and uncertain about where their relationship is headed. Desperate to keep Lucas in her life, Emily becomes more aggressive in her tactics. She arranges for Sophie to be assigned to a major project in a different city, ensuring her separation from Lucas. With Sophie out of the way, Emily makes her boldest move yet. She confesses her love to Lucas. Lucas is shocked and horrified by Emily's confession. He tries to distance himself from her, but Emily is relentless. She uses her influence over Richard to keep Lucas close, making it impossible for him to escape her advances. She begins to seduce him, using every trick she knows to break down his resistance. One night, after a particularly heated argument with Sophie over the phone, Lucas succumbs to his desires and begins an affair with Emily. The guilt and shame eat away at him, but he is unable to free himself from Emily's grip. Their relationship becomes increasingly intense, hidden behind the walls of the mansion. As the affair continues, Emily becomes more jealous and controlling. She manipulates Lucas into believing that they are meant to be together and that Sophie was never right for him. Lucas, now deeply entangled in the affair, begins to lose sight of his morals and values.
If you like charming stories that touch the heart and inspire the mind, be sure to press the subscribe button and activate the bell to receive more wonderful tales.
He starts to distance himself from his work, his friends, and even Sophie. Sophie, sensing that something is terribly wrong, returns to confront Lucas. The confrontation is explosive, and Lucas, unable to face the truth, ends their relationship in a cold and cruel manner. Sophie leaves, heartbroken and confused, while Emily watches from the shadows, satisfied that she has finally won. With Sophie out of the picture, Emily's focus shifts entirely to Lucas. She dreams of a life with him, far away from Richard and the mansion. But Lucas is racked with guilt. He begins to see Emily's true nature, a manipulative and controlling woman who has destroyed everything he once held dear. Emily, sensing Lucas's growing distance, becomes desperate. She proposes that they run away together, leaving everything behind. But Lucas refuses. He feels trapped, unable to leave, because of his guilt over betraying his father and the life he has built. One day, Emily calls Lucas with the devastating news. She's pregnant with his child. The revelation hits Lucas like a ton of bricks, leaving him numb and unable to process anything around him. Emily's obsession with Lucas reaches its peak. She decides that the only way to secure her future with Lucas is to eliminate Richard. She begins poisoning him slowly, making it appear as though Richard's health is naturally deteriorating due to his age. However, Lucas discovers her plan. Horrified, he confronts Emily, realizing that she not only destroyed his relationship with Sophie, but is now attempting to kill his father. The confrontation turns violent, and in a moment of madness, Emily accidentally kills Lucas in a desperate attempt to silence him. Richard returns to the mansion and hears a scream from inside. Rushing in, he finds his son Lucas lying in a pool of blood. He pulls out his gun to kill Emily, but she is faster and kills him in a hysterical fit, not realizing what she's doing. Using a diabolical scheme, Emily manages to cover up the murders of both Richard and Lucas. She lives through days of unimaginable stress, relying on sedatives and nerve medications until she completes her pregnancy and gives birth to her son, Michael. In the first few months of Michael's life, it becomes apparent that he is paralyzed, unable to move, suffering from muscular dystrophy. Emily frantically takes Michael to the doctor, only to learn that her son is indeed paralyzed and will never walk. This is the result of the numerous medications and sedatives she consumed during pregnancy. Michael grows to the age of 3, confined to a wheelchair, unable to move or speak like other children. Michael needs Emily by his side all day long. He cannot eat, drink, walk, or move. Every time Emily looks into Michael's face, she remembers the crimes she committed, the forbidden pleasures she indulged in, and the heinous acts that no mind could ever comprehend. Emily always feels that her son Michael is the curse of her actions, one that will haunt her for the rest of her life. The psychological and emotional pressure, coupled with her constant reliance on sedatives, has driven her to the brink. She can no longer bear the weight of what she has done, killing Richard and Lucas, destroying Sophie, and condemning her son to a life of suffering. In the end, Emily chooses to escape the nightmare she has created. In a final act of desperation, she commits a gruesome suicide, slashing her wrists while locking herself in a sealed room filled with gas, ensuring that death is slow and agonizing. The once great Beaumont Empire worth billions, now belongs to the little boy Michael, the sole heir who doesn't understand the enormity of the wealth he owns. The empire is left in the hands of a disabled child, a living reminder of the sins of his mother, who never had a chance to live a normal life. The story ends in darkness, with no hope of redemption, leaving behind a legacy of pain, betrayal, and death.